So we'll do a sample APA paper. And first of all, you have to set your Microsoft Word. Basically, we are editing in Microsoft Word. So first of all, you'll have to set it up so that it shows the right font. And remember, in APA, they only allow or they recommend that you use Times New Roman and regular and font size 12. So that is the font setting. Remember, we went to the font setting in the toolbar. So you can set that as default for this document only or for all documents that you are going to use. And we are going to set it for this document only because I prefer to use it that way. If you are always writing something in APA, you can, or rather in that format, you can always use the all documents format. So then you click OK. Then now we are set at Times New Roman size 12 and you're good to go. Now the second thing you're going to set is the header, what we call, in APA, there's what we call the running head. So before we do that, we are going to select an option called different first page, whereby our first page, the header of our first page is going to be different from the headers of other subsequent pages. So here we go. You write running head, which is going to be the running head means that it is a shortened version of your topic title and it is going to be repeated in the header of every other subsequent page. So in page 2, page 3, page 4, and so on, there's always going to be a header that indicates the topic we are talking about. Also, what we're going to insert here is the page number. So let's say we are picking a topic like a topic around food poisoning. And that's what our topic is about. Poisoning. So let's just get the correct spelling. And this one will be written in capital letters. Okay. So running ahead in capped, or rather in sentence form, whereby it begins with a capital letter and the rest are in, lowercase. Then this one in capital letter. So running ahead colon food poisoning. Then you are going to insert a page number. So we'll come here and there are various options: top of page, bottom of page, page margins, current position. So you go to current position, simple, plain number. So automatically it will show us that that's the first page. Then you push it using your spacebar on your keyboard. You push it to the farthest right. Yeah, until there. Then now you go back to the main part. So the first component of the APA or the APA format is what you call the cover page. So our cover page, the name is actually the second component. So the first component is the title, your title, the title of the paper. So let's say effects, let's say you are examining the effects of food poisoning in the food and beverage industry. Yeah. So let's say that's your title. Then you are going to set what is called the name of the institution. So let's say you are studying at the University of Edinburgh. So that's the name of your school, okay? So you will push it a few lines down towards the center of the document, like four. You click, or rather you click the enter key about 6 times, 4 to 6 times. Then you will centralize all that information. You align it at the center of your document. So that's basically the cover page. And after that, you will insert a new page using the page break. So we will go to a new page, which is also called the abstract page in APA. So you write abstract, and after writing abstract, you put it in bold. And remember that your abstract is just a brief or rather summary of what your paper is about. So what do you want to include in the abstract? So the abstract must have what we call the aim or objectives of your writing or of your paper. So in one, two, or three sentences, you'll explain why, or rather the objectives or the aim of writing that particular paper. So you may start like something like this paper aimed at evaluating the effects of food poisoning on the local food and beverage industry. And then you go ahead and explain that objective in about one to three sentences. So remember that an abstract is brief, about 200 to 250 words, and it summarizes whatever you're talking about in the paper. Then the second component, the second thing you want to include in your abstract is the methodology, or rather, the methods you used to arrive at your objectives, or to achieve your objectives. So you can say something like, this paper used a mixed method research design to evaluate this, and this. You may want also to list the if you did some interviews, whatever tools you use to collect data, you may also want to list them in brief, or rather briefly. Now, the third component you want to include here is the findings of your research. So after using this method that you stated up here, then what did you find out? This study found out that, so you'll write whatever you found out, and you'll explain it in a few lines. And you may also include a few statistics here, there, some data to back up whatever you're talking about. Then the fourth component would be the conclusion. What are your conclusions? How did you conclude from these findings? And based on the method you use, the findings, whatever you found, and the objectives of your paper, what did you conclude about their topic? What did you conclude? Then after that, there's something called the implications. So you may want to spare a few lines to talk about what effect or how do your findings change the study in this area? What do they add? What information does your study add to the current literature that exists, the current research? And how does it affect the practice of the practice around food poisoning in the food and beverage industry? So you may want to add that in a few lines, one or two. So basically, this makes up your abstract. And remember, all this has to be in about 200 to 250 words. So it's just like a paragraph of 200 to 250 words. So having written your abstract, and the abstract is not in bold, I have to emphasize on that. So the abstract is just a paragraph of about 200 to 250 words, just a normal paragraph. It should not be in bold. Okay. Now we go to the next part. So you'll create another page. You go to page break. Then here's now where you do the body of your APA. And remember that in APA, the body varies in structure. For simple research papers, the body could be divided into subsections, into sections and subsections, headings and subheadings. If you are writing a more detailed paper, a more detailed research paper, a more detailed research project, dissertations, you may want to do what we call chapters. So you will choose based on the kind of paper you are writing. And if you are doing, I've said that if you're doing simpler papers, you could do sections and subsections. That's how you're going to structure your paper, or headings and subheadings. Subheadings could be subheading 1, subheading 2, subheading 3, depending on how many parts you want to divide your paper into. So let's look at how you format your various headings. So the first heading you're going to write in the body of your paper. So let's say heading 1. So it could be introduction to food poisoning. Introduction to food poisoning, and it should be bold and aligned at the center. Aligned at the center. So that would be a first heading. And if you have a subheading to this, let's say background, then it would be aligned to the left. So you align it here to the left and still bold. Okay. If you have what we call a subheading 2, because this is the subheading 1. So a subheading 2, it will be indented. Indented means that you place your cursor at the beginning here. They have done mine here. Then you click on the tab key on your keyboard. After pressing the tab key on your keyboard, it will create that space. That's what we call an indent. Then you will write the second subheading. So let's assume something like the origin of food poisoning. Then you write a full stop and continue writing about food poisoning. So you'll continue writing about whatever you wanted to write about food poisoning, the origin of food poisoning. Just want to show you how it works. Okay. So let's assume that's our first sentence. So this is the subtitle, this one here, or rather the second subtitle. Remember, it is in sentence form, meaning that it begins, or rather the first word begins with a capital letter, the rest small letters. And for these ones, for the heading, it is capped, or rather capitalized, meaning that each word begins with a capital letter. And for this one, same rule, it is always capped, meaning that each word begins with a capital letter. However, for the second subheading, only the first word begins with a capital letter, the rest are lowercase. So you have to know that. Now, what if there's a third subheading? Again, you will indent that, but instead of just letting it be bold, it will be italicized. So if you're talking about under the origin of food poisoning, you're talking about food poisoning, let's say in medieval times. Food poisoning in medieval times. Then you write that. You put you indent it, put a full stop, make it bold, but put it in italics. So that's the third subheading, meaning that it is under this second subheading, the origin of food poisoning. If you don't have a third subheading, there's no need to create it. You can always continue with the second subheading. If you don't have a second subheading, you can always do the first subheadings. So you'll continue to write whatever you wanted to write about food poisoning in medieval times. Yes, so let's assume that's your first sentence under this. Then you will continue that way till you go back to another subheading, another heading if it's available. So you remember the structure can write, but the basic structure takes this format. After you've done everything, done your methods, you've found your results, you've discussed them and did everything, then you go to the part where you create a final page called the reference page. So the reference page will be on a separate page, and it will be titled references. References is put in capital. It's rather capitalized, meaning that it begins with a capital letter. Then you will align it at the center of the document. Then you will list your references. So assuming that that's your reference, oh, sorry about that. Assuming that you wrote quite a number of references, you had quite a number of references, then you are now in a position to list your references from the first to the last. And here there's a general format that APA uses for referencing, where you write the last name of the author, or let me just remove the bold. So you write the last name of the author, then you put a comma, an initial of the second name, or rather the first name, then a full stop, you write the date of publication, let's assume it's 2019, then you write the title of the article you're using. In a sentence case, meaning only the first word begins with a capital letter, put a colon there. Let's say it could be just a short title like that. Then you go to the journal name of the journal name, the journal where you retrieve the article from. Then at the end of it, you put a comma. You write what's called the volume number, in brackets, the issue number, then another comma, then you write the page numbers, the page where you are, the page of the journal where your article exists, or are the pages of the article where you got your information from. And the journal name should be in italics, so we'll italicize from the journal name to the volume number, italics. So we'll italicize everything there. Journal name, the volume and issue number. Let's give a good example. So let's say we read an article written by one Robert Koch. One Robert Koch may be published in 2020 and all that. So Robert is the first name, Koch is the last name. So what will you do? We will write the last name first and an initial of the first name. So Coach R 2020. Let's say Coach wrote about, got his information from an article entitled The Causes of Food Poisoning in post-industrial age. Then maybe that's it. Then the article was derived from Journal of Food Safety. Then you put a comma. Let's say it was derived from an article volume 24 and issue number, let's say 9. And the information was got from page 345 to let's say 361, full stop. So we basically created a simple format that forms the basis of how you write your APA references. Now I want to talk about when there's a journal, meaning when the article title is a bit longer, and it could be with a colon somewhere there. It is separated by a colon, let's say a case study or something, or additional information about the title. Then the first letter here after the title, after the colon, is capitalized. So if you are to put that here, we say a case study of the African society. So as you can see, after the colon, there's a capital letter to begin the next part of the title. Those are just basic punctuation rules. So that's basically it, how to, work on APA. And if you have more questions, you can always ask and we'll discuss more about them. So happy writing, and I hope you've learned something that can help you going forward. Thank you.